The smoke from the battlefield still hung over the ruined city like a ghost that refused to leave. Broken towers stood like teeth sharp against the red sky, and the wind carried the sound of distant gunfire through the empty streets. Somewhere in the middle of all that destruction, a single human soldier moved quietly between the shadows. His name was Captain Ryan Hale, one of the last soldiers still alive from Earth's peacekeeping forces on the planet Veralia. Veralia had once been a beautiful place, full of tall silver trees and blue rivers that glowed at night. Now, after months of war between rebel factions and alien loyalists, the planet looked like a graveyard. The United Earth Command had sent soldiers to help keep peace, but the mission had fallen apart. The rebels had better weapons, better terrain, and no mercy. Ryan's squad had been ambushed 2 days ago. He was the only one who made it out alive. He checked the small scanner on his wrist. It flashed red for danger and green for life signs. There, and a faint signal not far away. It was weak but moving slowly. He tightened his grip on his rifle and followed it through the ruined market street. Broken stalls, burnt flags, and shattered glass covered the ground. His boots crunched on the debris as he moved, scanning the area with quick, trained eyes. Then he saw her. At first, he thought she was a child. She was crouched behind an overturned transport truck, clutching her side. But as he got closer, he saw she wasn't human. Her skin shimmered faintly like polished stone, changing color with the light, a soft lilac fading into pale silver. Her eyes were large, almost too big for her face, glowing faint blue in the dark. And her hair, if it could be called that, floated gently around her head like fine silk threads, glowing faintly as if alive. Ryan raised his rifle instinctively but hesitated. She was hurt badly. Blood, or something close to it, leaked from a wound in her side, a bright teal liquid that steamed as it touched the cold air. She looked at him with fear, pressing herself back against the truck. "Don't move," Ryan said quietly, lowering his weapon slightly. "I'm not going to hurt you." She didn't understand his words, but she understood his tone. Her breathing slowed, eyes still wide. He could see the fear, the pain, and the confusion in her expression. Ryan knelt slowly and pulled a small med kit from his belt. "I can help you," he said, showing her the kit. He pointed at her wound. "Let me help." For a moment, she didn't move. Then she nodded weakly. Ryan tore open a seal and pulled out a nanogel patch. It wasn't designed for alien biology, but he had no other choice. He pressed it gently to her wound and the gel hissed, sealing the bleeding instantly. She gasped and clutched his wrist but didn't pull away. "There," he said softly. "That should hold for now." A sudden crack echoed through the air, the sharp, deadly sound of a sniper rifle. Ryan reacted instantly. He threw himself over the alien girl just as the bullet slammed into the metal beside them, sending sparks flying. "Sniper!" he hissed, pressing her down. Another shot followed, and another. The truck shook as metal tore apart under the impact. Ryan grabbed his rifle and peered around the corner. Through the scope, he saw a flash, a glint from a rooftop across the street. "Damn it," he muttered. The shooter was using a long-range plasma rifle. One hit could turn either of them into ash. He glanced back at the alien girl. She was trembling, clutching his arm tightly. Her eyes darted between him and the sound of the gunfire. "It's okay," Ryan whispered. "I've got you." He waited for a break in the shots, then rolled out from cover, firing 3 quick bursts toward the rooftop. The sniper ducked back, giving him a few seconds. He grabbed the girl and pulled her behind a broken wall. "We need to move," he said. "Can you walk?" She nodded weakly. "Good. Stay close to me." They began to move through the ruins, darting from cover to cover. Every few seconds, another shot would come, missing by inches. The sniper was patient and skilled. Whoever it was, they wanted the girl alive, or at least not vaporized. Ryan could feel it in the way the shots tracked his movements. Finally, they slipped into an old building, half collapsed but still standing. He pushed the door shut behind them and led her to a dark corner. She sank to the ground, breathing heavily. Ryan crouched beside her, scanning the upper windows. "We're safe for now," he said, though he wasn't sure he believed it. The girl looked at him, her glowing eyes softening. She spoke in her language, a melodic series of tones and clicks that he couldn't understand. But then she pressed her hand against his chest, right over his heart. Ryan froze. Her hand was warm, and where it touched him, his skin tingled faintly. Then, to his shock, he heard her voice, not with his ears, but in his mind. "Why did you protect me?" Ryan blinked, realizing what was happening. Telepathic link, he thought. Some of the Varelians had it. He hesitated before answering. Because you were hurt? Because I couldn't just leave you. Her eyes flickered with surprise, and for a moment her shimmering hair brightened. You risked death for me. That's what we do, Ryan said simply. At least that's what humans try to do. There was silence between them, broken only by the wind outside. After a while, she whispered through their link again. My name is Karen. Ryan, he said. Captain Ryan Hale. Karen looked down, touching her side. The rebels hunt me. I carry something they want. What is it? Ryan asked. Before she could answer, a loud crash echoed from above. The sniper had found their position. Ryan cursed and grabbed his rifle. Stay down, he ordered, moving toward the stairs. He climbed up quietly, heart pounding. Through a crack in the wall, he saw movement. A dark figure leaping between rooftops. Ryan aimed, fired, and saw sparks as the enemy's armor deflected the shot. The sniper fired back, the plasma bolt burning a hole through the wall inches from Ryan's head. He ducked, rolled, and fired again. This time his shot hit home. The sniper fell, dropping the weapon as he tumbled into the street below. Ryan let out a breath. His arms trembled with adrenaline. He went back down to Karen. It's over, he said, helping her to her feet. She looked at him with wide eyes. Then, without a word, she stepped forward and wrapped her arms around him. It was a strange, gentle hug, her body light, almost weightless. Ryan stood there, surprised but silent. You saved my life. Her voice echoed softly in his mind. No one ever risked their life for me before. Ryan smiled faintly. Guess there's a first time for everything. But Karen's gaze turned serious. You don't understand. I am not just one of my kind. What I carry inside me could change everything. For humans, for Varelians, for the whole galaxy. Ryan frowned. What do you mean? She looked toward the broken window, her glowing eyes reflecting the distant fires of the city. If they catch me, the war will never end. But if you help me reach the northern mountains, maybe it can. Ryan stared at her for a long moment. He had already lost his squad, his mission, everything. Helping her would mean risking his life again. But looking at her, fragile, determined, and full of something he couldn't quite name, he made his choice. All right, he said quietly. We'll get you there. Karen's expression softened, a small light of hope flickering in her eyes. Outside, the sound of distant engines began to rise again. The enemy was searching for them. The night was far from over, and as Ryan checked his rifle and helped her to her feet, he couldn't help but think that this was no longer just a mission. It was something much bigger, something that might change what it meant to be human. The night air was cold, carrying the metallic scent of blood and ash. Ryan Hale moved cautiously through the ruined streets of Varelia, Karen close behind him. Every step they took seemed louder than the last, every shadow a potential threat. He adjusted the strap of his rifle and scanned the wrecked buildings. Fires burned in scattered corners, casting long, flickering shadows over twisted metal and shattered glass. Karen walked beside him, limping slightly from her injury. Her glowing skin gave off a faint light in the darkness, making her look ethereal, almost unreal. Ryan kept glancing at her, worried. Not only because of the sniper and the rebels hunting her, but also because she carried something dangerous and powerful, that neither of them fully understood. As they moved, Ryan noticed small signs of life, the tracks of scavengers, faint footprints, and occasional sparks of fire where someone had tried to burn debris. Each sign made him tense. They couldn't risk being seen. If the rebels found them, there would be no chance to escape. They reached a partially destroyed bridge that led to a safer part of the city. Ryan helped Karen over the uneven ground, careful not to let her slip. Halfway across, a faint hum echoed from above. Ryan froze, signaling her to stop. Sniper drones, he whispered. They're still scanning the area. Karen's eyes widened. Drones? I thought you humans destroyed most of them. We did, Ryan said, but a few were left hidden. They're fast, almost invisible at night. We need to move carefully. He pulled a small device from his pocket, a jammer. It wasn't perfect, but it could confuse the drones for a short while. He activated it and the humming overhead wavered, then stopped. Ryan motioned for Karen to continue. They reached the far side of the bridge, entering an abandoned warehouse district. Shadows stretched across broken walls and half-collapsed roofs. Ryan could hear faint noises, Rats, the wind, and the distant thrum of engines. He gripped his rifle tighter, moving in a low crouch. Karen followed, silent and careful. Suddenly, a loud crash came from behind them. Ryan spun, rifle ready. A group of rebels had found their trail. They wore dark armor, their faces hidden behind masks. They raised weapons, aiming directly at Karen. Ryan acted without thinking. He shouted, "Karen, behind me," and pushed her to the ground just as plasma bolts tore through the space she had just occupied. Sparks flew where the bullets hit the metal wall and debris fell around them. Ryan fired back, hitting 2 of the rebels. The rest ducked, returning fire from cover. Karen pressed herself against him. "We cannot fight them all," she said through their link. "I know," Ryan said, "but we can escape." He noticed a narrow alley to their right, barely visible in the darkness. "There," he said. "Quick, follow me." Ryan sprinted, Karen close behind, weaving through rubble and shattered metal. The rebels shouted and gave chase, but the human's knowledge of urban combat gave him an edge. He ducked into small spaces, used debris for cover, and fired only when necessary. Karen followed instinctively, surprising him with her speed and agility despite her injury. They reached an old transport terminal, mostly intact, but abandoned. Ryan slammed the door shut behind them and quickly barricaded it with broken crates and machinery. Inside it was dark and silent except for Karen's soft breathing. "You okay?" Ryan asked, kneeling beside her. She nodded. "I will survive if you protect me." Ryan smiled faintly. "That's the plan." Karen looked at him, her glowing eyes reflecting hope and fear. "Why do you risk so much for me?" Ryan paused, thinking. He had risked everything for strangers before, but this felt different. Because she is not just a stranger. She is someone who deserves to live. She is someone who could change everything. "Because no one deserves to die like that," he said simply. Karen's expression softened. She reached out and touched his hand. The warmth of her touch sent a shiver down his spine, and again he felt the strange connection, the telepathic link. "Ryan, I need to tell you something," she said. "The rebels are not after me because I am Varelian. They are after me because of what I carry inside." "What is it?" he asked, crouching beside her. Karen's eyes darkened, a faint glow pulsing in her chest. "Inside me is a device, ancient, powerful. It can control energy, destroy fleets, even alter worlds. If it falls into the wrong hands, the war will never end. The galaxy will burn." Ryan swallowed hard. He had fought wars, seen death and destruction, but this was bigger than anything he had imagined. "And you want to keep it safe?" he asked. "Yes," she said. "I must reach the northern mountains. There an old sanctuary waits, a place where I can hide it and protect it. But the path is dangerous. Rebels, mercenaries, assassins, they will all come for me." Ryan studied her. He had lost his squad, his mission failed, and yet here he was, making a choice that could cost his life. But looking at Karen, seeing her determination, he didn't hesitate. "We'll get you there," he said. "No one's touching you as long as I'm alive." Karen's eyes glowed brighter. "Thank you, Ryan. I will owe you more than you understand." The sound of engines grew louder outside. Ryan peeked through a crack in the wall and saw rebel vehicles moving in formation. They must have tracked them. There was no time to wait. They needed to move now. He grabbed Karen's hand. "Stay close," he whispered, and they slipped out the back, moving through the ruined city. The streets were filled with danger. Rebel patrols, automated drones, and traps covered the path. Ryan led her skillfully, using abandoned buildings and collapsed bridges to evade detection. Karen followed, her glowing body a faint beacon in the shadows, but she moved with surprising stealth. Hours passed. The city gave way to barren hills and rocky plains. The northern mountains loomed ahead, dark and foreboding. Ryan knew the sanctuary she mentioned must be somewhere beyond those peaks. As they paused to rest near a stream, Karen finally spoke again. "Ryan, there is more you should know about me." He raised an eyebrow. "More than the glowing skin and psychic link?" She smiled faintly. "Yes, humans see Varelians as fragile, as weak. They are wrong. I am trained to survive, to fight, to protect. But I have never needed anyone like I need you now. You risked your life for me, and that changes things." Ryan felt a strange warmth in his chest. He had seen soldiers fight for comrades, civilians sacrifice for others, but this was different. She wasn't just an ally. She trusted him with her life, her secret, and something deeper, a connection he couldn't yet fully understand. Suddenly, a shadow moved across the rocks behind them. Ryan grabbed his rifle. A squad of rebels had spotted them. They were fast, armed with energy rifles and grenades. Ryan motioned for Karen to hide behind a large boulder. He fired, taking down 2 of them, but more kept coming. Karen focused, her eyes glowing brightly, and a wave of energy pulsed from her. It wasn't dangerous to Ryan, but it threw the attackers off balance, knocking several to the ground. Ryan stared at her. "What did you do?" "A small defensive shield," she said. "It won't last long, but it can buy us time." The rebels recovered quickly. Ryan knew they couldn't fight them all. He grabbed Karen's hand and ran toward the mountains, dodging plasma bolts that scorched the earth around them. The wind whipped at their faces, the sound of pursuit close behind. Hours later, exhausted and bleeding from minor scrapes, they reached the foothills of the northern mountains. The rebels had not given up, but the rough terrain slowed them. Ryan and Karen climbed steadily, using the rocks for cover. Karen's glowing skin lit their path, and her psychic connection gave him guidance, warning him of hidden traps or patrols. As they reached a narrow pass, Karen finally spoke, her voice trembling. "Ryan, once we reach the sanctuary, there will be no turning back. You will be part of this whether you want to or not. The galaxy, it may depend on you." Ryan looked at her. Exhausted, bleeding, but unbroken, he nodded. "I don't care about the galaxy right now. I care about keeping you alive." Karen's eyes glimmered with a strange emotion. Gratitude, trust, and something more Ryan couldn't name. "Then we must move quickly. The sanctuary waits and our enemies are not far behind." Together they pressed onward into the dark mountains, the wind howling around them. Each step was a challenge, each shadow a threat, but they moved as one, human and Varelian, protector and protected. And for the first time since the war had begun, Ryan felt a glimmer of hope. Not just for survival, but for something greater. The bond forming between him and Karen, a bond that might change both their fates forever. They didn't speak much after that. Words were unnecessary. Every glance, every movement, every shared breath told them they could rely on each other. They had survived snipers, ambushes, and relentless pursuit. Now, as the sanctuary drew closer and the mountains loomed higher, they had to face the final challenge, reaching it before their enemies did, or losing everything. The night was far from over, but Ryan Hale felt something inside him awaken, a determination stronger than fear, stronger than fatigue. He would protect Karen, not just because she carried a powerful secret, but because she deserved it, because he could, and because humanity, even in the darkest corners of the galaxy, refused to back down. The northern mountains rose like jagged teeth against the dark sky, their peaks lost in clouds and mist. Ryan Hale and Karen climbed steadily, muscles aching, hearts pounding, but neither faltered. Every step was a struggle. The rocky terrain threatened to throw them off balance, and the wind howled like a wild beast, cold and merciless. Yet the sanctuary lay somewhere beyond these peaks, and the thought of safety kept them moving. Ryan glanced at Karen. Her glowing form was steady, her face pale from exhaustion but resolute. He had seen her face light up in hope before, but tonight it carried a quiet determination. Despite everything she had endured, despite being hunted by an army that would not stop, she had not lost her strength. "Almost there," he said quietly, though his voice was nearly lost in the wind. "I think the pass ends just ahead. The sanctuary should be nearby." Karen's eyes glimmered with a soft light. "Yes, but the path will not be easy. The defenders of this mountain, they are unusual. They will test us." Ryan frowned. "Defenders?" "Guardians," she corrected, her voice tense. "They are not human, not Varelian, but they will recognize my presence. If we cannot prove ourselves, they will not let us pass." Ryan didn't ask questions. He had learned long ago that Karen's world was far older and more complex than anything humans had encountered. He trusted her judgment, even if he didn't fully understand it. They climbed in silence, the only sounds the scraping of boots against rock and the occasional gust of wind. Ryan felt the cold seeping into his bones, but he ignored it. His focus was on keeping Karen safe, on reaching the sanctuary before the rebels caught them. Suddenly, a shadow moved across the rocks above them. Ryan froze and grabbed his rifle. The rebels had followed them. He could see their dark silhouettes against the lighter stone, moving with deadly precision. They had not given up. Karen's eyes flared and a pulse of energy emanated from her, washing over the rebels below. The closest one stumbled, disoriented, but the others advanced. Ryan fired, taking down 2 before the rest opened fire. Plasma bolts scorched the rocks around them. "Move!" Ryan shouted, grabbing Karen's hand. Together they scrambled up a steeper part of the mountain, sliding over loose stones and using jagged edges to pull themselves higher. Karen's glowing form guided him, warning him of unstable rocks and hidden traps. Hours seemed to pass in moments. Exhaustion clawed at Ryan, his muscles burning, his lungs aching. Karen, too, was struggling, but she never faltered. Her determination was a beacon, pushing him to keep going. Finally, they reached a plateau. The sanctuary lay ahead, a massive stone structure carved into the mountain, ancient and imposing. Glowing runes marked its entrance, pulsing with faint blue light. It radiated a sense of power and protection, unlike anything Ryan had ever seen. Karen turned to him. "This is it. The Guardians will judge me now. You must stay behind, Ryan. They will test only me. If they see that I am worthy, they will open the path. If not, I'm not leaving you," Ryan said firmly. "You saved me, Karen. It's my turn to do the same. No matter what they throw at us, we face it together." Karen's eyes softened. "Very well. But be careful. Their tests are not just physical. They reach into your mind, your soul. Even a strong heart can be broken if it falters here." Ryan nodded, gripping his rifle, though he had a feeling that this battle would be different. They approached the sanctuary's entrance. As they stepped closer, the glowing runes flared and 3 figures materialized. The Guardians. They were tall, alien, with sleek metallic forms, faces unreadable. Energy pulsed from their bodies and the air around them vibrated with power. One Guardian spoke, though the sound was not audible. Ryan understood the meaning in his mind. "Karen, child of Virelia, what brings you here?" "I seek refuge," Karen replied in her mind. "I carry something dangerous. I need to protect it from those who would misuse it." The Guardians conferred silently, their forms glowing brighter. Then one of them stepped forward. "To pass, you must prove your strength, your courage, and your heart. If you fail, the sanctuary will not open." Ryan felt a chill. He wanted to step forward to fight alongside her, but Karen motioned for him to stay back. She stepped toward the Guardians, standing tall despite exhaustion and injury. The first test began immediately. The ground beneath Karen's feet glowed, forming a series of floating platforms. She had to leap across them, each one shifting and tilting unpredictably. Ryan watched, tense as she moved with grace and precision. Her glowing form lit the path, and every movement carried a purpose. Halfway across, a platform tilted sharply, threatening to throw her into the abyss below. Ryan's heart raced. She faltered for a moment, but then focused, her energy pulsing to stabilize the platform. She continued, landing safely on the other side. The second test was mental. A wave of images and memories struck her mind, visions of war, loss, betrayal. Ryan felt them faintly through their link and could see the strain on her face. She wavered but did not break. She embraced the pain, faced the fear, and allowed it to strengthen her resolve. Finally, the last test began. The Guardians created an illusion, one of Ryan's greatest fears, that he would fail, that Karen would be taken from him, that he could not protect her. He saw himself alone, Karen in the hands of the rebels, the device she carried being destroyed. His heart ached. Karen's voice came to him through their link, calm but commanding. "Focus, Ryan, our bond is stronger than fear. Remember why we fight, why we survive. You are not alone, and neither am I." Her words cut through the illusion. The image of the rebels, the destruction, all shattered. Karen stood firm, her glowing eyes blazing with light. The Guardians observed silently, then nodded. The runes on the sanctuary flared brightly, and the massive doors opened, revealing a safe interior bathed in gentle light. Karen stepped inside, her form still glowing. Ryan followed, relief washing over him. The sanctuary was warm, filled with ancient technology and protective wards. It was a place untouched by the war outside, a haven where they could finally rest. Karen collapsed to the floor, exhausted, and Ryan knelt beside her. He helped her sit up, brushing some debris from her glowing hair. "You did it," he said softly. "You passed." "Yes," she said, breathing heavily. "But it was not just me. You gave me courage, Ryan. Without you, I may have failed." Ryan shook his head. "No, you're stronger than anyone I've ever met. I just kept up." Karen looked at him, her glowing eyes searching his. "You saved me from the sniper. You shielded me from death. Now you have offered me something more than protection. You've offered me trust, loyalty, and a bond that transcends our worlds. Ryan felt his chest tighten. He had fought countless battles, seen death and despair, but this moment, this connection was something he had never experienced. He reached out and took her hand. The warmth of her energy flowed into him, and he realized their bond was more than survival. It was partnership, friendship, and something deeper, something that neither time nor war could sever. The sanctuary's light pulsed softly around them. Karen leaned slightly closer. Ryan, what you have given me cannot be measured in words. I owe you my life, yes, but more than that. I offer you my trust, my alliance, and if you choose, my heart. Ryan swallowed, feeling emotions he hadn't allowed himself in years. Hope, pride, and something tender blooming inside him. Karen, I don't know what to say. Then say nothing, she whispered through their link. Just stay. Survive. Together we can protect what is sacred, and perhaps we can change the fate of both our peoples. Outside, the wind howled over the mountains, the distant sound of rebel engines fading. They had escaped, survived, and reached safety. For the first time since the war had begun, Ryan allowed himself to believe that there was a future worth fighting for. Days passed in the sanctuary. Ryan recovered from minor injuries. Karen tended to the device she carried, and they planned their next moves. The bond between them grew stronger, not just through survival, but through mutual respect and understanding. Ryan, Karen said one evening, as they watched the faint glow of distant stars through a sanctuary window, I have seen many humans. Brave, strong, clever. But you are different. You are human at your best. Compassionate, determined, fearless in the face of hopelessness. Ryan chuckled softly. I just do what I have to do. No, she said, her voice firm. You do more. You inspire hope, Ryan. Hope can change worlds. He looked at her, realizing the truth of her words. Humanity, even in a galaxy full of alien civilizations and war, had something unique. Courage, compassion, the unwillingness to give up even when everything seemed lost. And he had seen it, embodied it in himself, and now reflected in Karen's eyes. The sanctuary was safe, but the war beyond the mountains raged on. Rebels would continue to seek the device, but Ryan and Karen now had time, preparation, and a bond unbroken by fear or fire. Together they were stronger than any enemy, more resilient than any threat. Karen's hand found his again, her glowing fingers entwined with his. Whatever comes, we face it together. I have my trust in you. Do you trust? The mountains stood silent around them, guardians watching, wind whispering, and in that quiet, two souls from different worlds found hope, strength, and a connection that transcended fear, war, and even the distance between stars. Humanity had once again proved its worth, not in weapons or power, but in core,